Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to a report by UPI, the former Axis powers of Germany and Japan are rapidly accelerating their post-war military buildups, moving beyond decades-old defense restraints, driven by rising geopolitical threats from Russia and China, alongside growing doubts regarding the reliability of U.S. security commitments. Both nations are significantly expanding their defense budgets. During the upcoming G7 summit in France, Germany and Japan are expected to showcase closer military cooperation. This partnership is evolving into a collaborative defense alliance focused on exchanging technology, expertise, and military equipment such as drones and helicopters. Rather than reviving a wartime alliance, both countries emphasize their alignment with rules-based international orders and are working alongside other former wartime adversaries. However, these military expansions face domestic challenges. Germany struggles to recruit volunteers for its armed forces, while Japan deals with intense protests over arms exports and constitutional concerns regarding its pacifist Article 9. Additionally, a broader defense boom across Europe is creating localized economic strains, including labor shortages and soaring housing costs. Analysts note that both nations must successfully persuade their respective publics to fully support this new military paradigm. According to a report by Liani Zabal, Iranian media, including the Fars and Tasnim news agencies, reported on June 16, 2026, that several Iranian oil tankers and cargo ships carrying essential goods had successfully run through a maritime blockade. The vessels included a very large crude carrier heading to an Iranian port, a ship carrying agricultural feed, and a tanker carrying Iranian oil that navigated through the Gulf of Oman toward its export destination. This development occurred shortly after the United States and Iran announced a tentative armistice agreement on June 14th, with U.S. President Donald Trump ordering the immediate lifting of the naval blockade on Iranian ports. Despite Trump's orders, sources indicate that the blockade remains active in practice. On June 15th, the UK Maritime Trade Operations forwarded an advisory stating the blockade was still in force. Furthermore, radio logs obtained by Xinhua news agency from merchant vessels near the Strait of Hormuz revealed that the U.S. Navy was still broadcasting warnings, declaring the blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas active and ordering several ships to turn back. According to a report by Thai Sounds, U.S. President Donald Trump announced the signing of a first-stage peace memorandum of understanding, EOIU-ASWIL, with Iran, raising hopes for the reopening of the crucial Strait of Hormuz. However, the shipping industry remains cautious. The U.S. Navy's Joint Maritime Information Center continues to categorize the threat level in the strait as severe, warning commercial vessels that U.S. blockades on Iranian ports will persist until the official ceasefire takes effect on Friday. While Trump declared the strait would be permanently open and toll-free, a dispute is brewing over transit fees. U.S. officials indicated the waterway would remain toll-free for a 60-day technical negotiation period. Conversely, Iranian semi-official media reported that Iran and Oman plan to start charging transit fees after this period, leveraging their control over the channel. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance acknowledged that toll fees remain a key point of contention to be resolved in upcoming talks. Experts note that Iran considers its influence over the strait a vital strategic asset and is unlikely to relinquish control. According to Nippon TV News, NNN, a public debate was held at the United Nations headquarters in New York on June 15th for the upcoming election to choose the successor to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, whose term concludes at the end of 2026. Maria Fernanda Espinosa, the former president of the UN General Assembly from Ecuador, participated as the fifth candidate to enter the race. During her address, Espinosa emphasized that the United Nations must once again prioritize conflict prevention, mediation, and early response as its primary goals to restore global peace. She described the role of the Secretary General as a peacemaker and pledged to ensure that the UN acts before crises escalate into catastrophic conflicts. With 5 candidates currently running, the election is expected to be decided by autumn. Observers are also closely watching whether the first female Secretary General will be elected in the UN's 80-year history. According to a report by Lianhe Zhaobao, U.S. President Donald Trump has expressed his gratitude to Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin for their diplomatic assistance in facilitating a preliminary peace agreement between the United States and Iran. Speaking to the New York Times, Trump praised the 2 world leaders, whom he referred to as friends, for helping bring about the initial ceasefire. Trump noted that China and Russia contributed to the deal by not allowing oil tankers, natural gas carriers, or other commercial vessels to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. This cooperative stance avoided undermining the maritime blockade established by the U.S. to pressure Iran, thereby creating conditions for the agreement. Trump specifically praised President Xi as a complete gentleman, highlighting that China did not deploy destroyers to escort tankers in an attempt to break the blockade. While both China and Russia had supported Iran during its recent conflicts with the U.S. and Israel, Trump did not mention this, focusing instead on their diplomatic cooperation. The White House and the Chinese and Russian embassies in Washington have not yet responded to requests for comment. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.